there's a plethora of local services out there, all producing data of a wide variety of types and detail, all of which is stored and processed through information and communication technologies of one kind or another. The audience that I have to listen to as the head of research at Socitm are the heads of IT and the directors of IT, and increasingly of things digital, who are the ones who are either buying all this hardware and software and communications technology, or who are in discussions with others who are commissioning services which are ultimately underpinned by information and communication technologies. And that means that there's a very great deal that we can, in a sense, help you and inform you about as to what these people are interested in or what issues they're tackling at any one point in time. And that's what I'm going to try and illustrate this morning. So the first thing I want to talk about are what you might say current issue priorities. So I'm just going to pop up three things here. Austerity is very popular in the public sector at the moment, as I'm sure you know. It's a big thing. What it means is that our members and your customers are very interested in anything that allows them to do more for less. So anything which is more efficient or more economic is high on their to-do list. But more subtly, things that are more effective at producing the outcomes that their customers and service directorates are interested in are also high on their list of things they would like to hear about. The other thing about austerity, which I think is important, is that the austerity creates a sense of crisis and an opportunity for change. So we have this kind of strange position at the moment where, on the one hand, the Chancellor is saying to the private sector and everyone else, hallelujah, the rainbow is out, you know, with economy's growing, we're the best things since sliced bread in the OECD, the future's wonderful, vote Conservative, and we'll have more of the same. Whereas on the other hand, he's talking to the public sector people saying, it's all terrible, we've got to not spend any money, we've got deficits to get rid of, it's terrible, spend less, do more, be more efficient, etc. So there's this tension kind of thing going on between these two agendas. But for the public sector people, the austerity thing is real and it's not going away. Those of you who paid attention to what the projections are for budgets are, they're at least as bad going down as they have been in the last 5 years again. So that's going to have a big effect on numbers of people in the public sector. But how are you going to do more with less people? The answer is you're going to turn to more services commissioned from other places and more technologies, especially digital and information and communications technologies, to help bridge that gap. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, that means there's a bit of a crisis in maturity. The public sector knows that it's got this difficult thing to deal with. So leadership is really, really important. Right? This isn't going to be solved by sitting down and writing down the answer to some equation and then applying it. This is leadership about changing stuff, big style. And that leads to, well, how do you change stuff? Well, that's capability. A capability of dealing with this is something that they need to build. So any of you who've got products and services that help people, help the leaders build the capability to do new things in new ways, you should find a ready audience, I would suggest. The diversity issue is one about, how can I put this? There's things to do with people and things to do with places. People have very diverse needs. So there's no such thing as a silver bullet to solve all the problems of the kind of people that we deal with. They're all different. As you saw from Tim's illustration of different services that different directorates are all looking after. There's an ocean of different things out there. And what we would like to do, is to help you get your boat on the ocean and go and explore some of the islands of diversity that are out there. Because the public sector does a lot of things. So you might think, well, the ICT budgets that you might be tapping into are sizable and going down. That's a problem. Well, I would argue, well, it's not quite the smart way to look at it. A typical local authority spends about 2-3% of its entire budget on information and communication technology products and services. including running its own IT department, which doesn't sound like a lot. And the answer is yes, it's not a lot. The other 97% of what they spend is increasingly being serviced by information and communication technology products and services. So the potential market for those who are in that business isn't the 3%, it's a fair chunk of that other 97% as well. And that's a heck of a lot of money. So where does all this come together? And this is one of the sort of strategic themes that we have running at the moment. There's this thing called Place as the Platform. You'll hear references to government as a platform and various other kinds of platforms. For Socitm, Place is the platform because people live in places. The organizing principle that makes sense in our sector for our people is place. So you'll hear people talking about smart cities. We talk about smart places because not everybody lives in a city or something that could be defined as a city. And place, in the context of especially England at the moment, is a movable feast. New things are being devolved to city regions, and all sorts of negotiations are going on about forming regional collaborations and amalgamations of things. All of those are opportunities of change for such as yourselves, I would suggest. So in my patch, this is the sort of matrix of stuff that we keep tabs on pretty much on a monthly basis. I don't expect you to read it. I'm just going to say this is the kind of things that we do. We have a range of business outcomes that our members are interested in. Strengthen local say, excel at customer experience, reduce costs, grow the local economy, etc., etc., etc. And we have a series of solutions mapped against those outcomes. So the density of the green is, if you like, the intensity of the correlation between certain kinds of solutions, certain kinds of business problems. Inside the supplier program, we share this with the suppliers. So if you like, this is an opportunity map, if you wanted to call it that. But I want to get into some of the detail of the things down here, and pick out 3 of them. The first one is going to be on things to do with digital by design. Now, we had a definition of what digital is earlier. It's as good a definition as any. I'm not going to give you an alternative one just for the hell of it. But what I do in my patch of Socitm is we've done a fair amount of research into what is digital and what is by design. So we've produced various publications. We've produced a new digital maturity assessment service. But for you, I would expect that it's the publications, the reports and the briefing material that tells you about the language, the thoughts and the issues that our members are dealing with in this space might be the things that would be of interest to you. Coming down the line, the new stuff that's being expected of our members are to get seriously into service redesign, business process standardization, collaboration and sharing of things. So anything that you have that facilitates that, again, should find a ready audience. And anything that manages demand in the sector is a good thing. You know, some people might call it avoidable contacts, or let's not get things wrong. Get it right at the beginning, so you don't have to waste money fixing something that you got wrong at the outset. So demand management is a big thing, especially in the next area, which is a feature for our members on health and social care integration. I'm not going to say very much about this because it's an enormous topic, but a lot of money and a lot of effort is going into the social care tasks that have been delegated just very recently by legislation to local authorities, and the health sector basically trying not to spend any money. If we can have healthy, happy people living in communities and places around the country who need less health services, that is a good thing. Anything that helps that, big tick. Social care, we all get old, we all start to fall apart. We need things, we need systems to look after us. So anything that helps those who manage and develop those systems, big tick at the moment. Socitm, for its part, is involved at several levels in this area because so many of these health and social care integration processes have got information and communication technology backgrounds, things to do with data standards, common business processes. Our members are the ones that people often look to help design the new solutions. They look to people such as yourself for the actual stuff that does the solution. Now, solution priorities is where this one really comes in, rather than as much as an issue one. I mean, those of you who've been in the technology business for a while will know there's always been a tension between open systems and closed systems. Government, just as time passes, becomes ever more strict in its desire to have open systems that can be flexibly adjusted and interoperate. So there's a big deal of interest in open standards and systems that utilize open standards. Anything that encourages collaboration and sharing, which is intrinsic in building and maintaining an open system, gets a big tick. That means that, frankly, opportunities for disintermediation and cooperation and consolidation of stuff, people are very interested in. So those who are in first might have advantage over the ones who come along later. There's a long game exercise here. There's no quick fixes in open systems land. So it takes a long time to move things along, as Tim's story with the data services amply demonstrates. So how do we put all this together? Well, there's a sort of bigger strategic picture, which I wanted to pop up here and just quickly elaborate. So here we have two themes that have to be balanced off against each other. We have the propensity of service users to participate. So this is the code, other language for engagement. We want the citizens, the businesses who are served by Socitm members organizations to participate. It could be self-service, which means the council doesn't have to provide the service, or it could be some other form of participation. The other axis here is complexity. Now, at the low level of complexity, it's a very simple, well-defined process. Nothing complicated about it at all. You might then go halfway up this axis and it gets complicated. It's tractable, but it's complicated. You know exactly what you're doing. You have to do A before B before C and so on, and you get them in the wrong order, it's a mess. That's just complicated. Complex is when usually you've got people and judgment and opinion involved. So building systems or handling systems that are complex rather than merely complicated takes you into a whole new ballgame. But this is where the buzzwords around building local capacity come in. It's not just everybody has to be employed by the public sector. Public services can be delivered by third sector people. They can be delivered by private sector people. They can be delivered by public sector people, and all sorts of combinations of those in between. But that's complex. So things that manage complexity, very much we like those, but they're hard to make. So you map out all the different things against those two axes, and you find, say, down in this corner, things that aren't, they're simple, they're not complicated. These are the low-hanging fruit. So you'll see the central government is always banging on about car tax as being the best digital service since sliced bread was invented. That's because it's dead easy. It was done years ago. They've been redoing it every few years and saying it's a new thing. It's simple, it's being done. The other bit that's kind of relatively undeveloped is this bit. If you look at most of the central government exemplar digital services, they're all around about self-serving yourself. Because again, that's the low-hanging fruit on complexity scale. But the big wins that people are hoping for are coming up this axis here. And the one that everybody really wants is this so-called co-design, co-production exercise, e.g. care. So for example, helping me look after my mother and father, or helping you look after a sister or a brother. you're the one who's closest to the end customer. So what can the public services do to help you do that better? Or if you can't do it, who steps in and how is that organised and managed? So these are big priorities, but they're very complicated and they require a lot of engagement. So it takes a long time to get them going. But anything that does help get them going gets a big tick at the moment. So we can map out all of these things that I've been talking about across that space. And the thing that Socitm is located on at the moment is this general principle is place as a platform. So it's not axiomatic that what happens in Bolton is the same as what happens in Birmingham, it's the same as what happens in Barora up in the north of Scotland. But they are all public services. They are all going to be underpinned by information and communication technologies, and they are all going to come from people such as yourselves. So my last slide, I'll just pop up all the parts here. This is, if you like, what we do. Socitm, the Society for Information Technology Management, exists to bring like minds together on that topic. We run an organisation, that's not a big word for it, we run a group called the Local CIO Council, where we have, if you like, the prime movers and leaders in our community come together with other stakeholders to talk about stuff. So the most recent interesting bit we had at our last LCIO Council meeting, we had a representative from the department, from communities and local government, who was cascading down to us. There's a big push coming on cybersecurity and resilience, and anything to do with common platforms in general, but cybersecurity and resilience. So we were getting a big carrot saying, this is where there's going to be some action needed. So what I do is I go to my other places like my research steering group or in briefings and documentations that go out to partners through Nigel and say, right, the message is this, there's going to be initiatives in that, we're going to do some briefings, we'll do some research, we need some case studies, who's the leading suppliers in this area, have they got any material that would be useful? That's the kind of discussion and conversation I need to have. And because I need to have that, that's your opportunity to have a voice. You might completely disagree with what other people are saying. You might violently agree, in which case you've got lots of stuff that I can use to help persuade others. And helping to persuade others is the influence opportunity that the supplier partner has with us. So I think I'll stop there.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.